If I'm wrong, then why did she leave?
No, say it. I mean, people leave for millions of reasons. It's not always because of us. This is about you, not Tara, or Anna, or Gia.
You are the only one who gets to decide if there's something wrong with you or if you're just different.
Hey, Fiorella.
Hi, Felipe. Hi again. How are you?
Hi again. Yeah. So we were just talking before we start recording. So you're from Uruguay and you moved
From Uruguay,
to the US when you were 17.
Yes, I moved to the Midwest. I went to college in the Midwest, St. Louis, Missouri.
When you said Midwest, I was going to say Chicago.
Close.
No,
I
the real.
ones for Thanksgiving, but no, St. Charles actually. It's called Lindenwood University in the Midwest, and I was there for 4 years, and then I moved to LA after I graduated.
How did you from Uruguay find that school?
Honestly, it's kind of crazy. Apparently, some Uruguayan family, I forgot their name, but they're going to kill me. But they were like recruiting athletes to go to the US because, certain universities. So we went for tryouts I went to Atlanta, I went to Georgia, I went to like a bunch of states. And
What sport did you do?
Well, I played field hockey in Uruguay for many years growing up. And then I started transitioning into soccer, but I just wasn't that good at it because I hadn't practiced since I was a little kid because, soccer was just for boys in Uruguay. So I kind of got I got behind and I ended up playing field hockey and I tore my ACL once I got to college and I didn't play anymore. It was a whole thing. So
it's funny. I went to Pepperdine in Malibu for college, and there was no boys soccer team, only girls.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been my dream growing up. Like I used to get bullied because I wanted to play soccer and they called me a little boy. So
yeah,
it's
in the US soccer, I guess, was like the girls soccer initiative started first. Like at my high school, the girls had a better team statewide than the guys did for sure.
Oh my God, that would have been my dream as a little kid. But yeah, no, it was like you were labeled as a tomboy, which I was labeled as anyway, So yeah.
And so you moved from the Midwest to LA, and were you already making films in the Midwest, or did you start when you got to LA?
My parents are lawyers, so it wasn't that I was like, I'm gonna go be an actor. They were like, no, you're not. So I went to school for international business and marketing, and I graduated with a double major. But I did that
very Latin parent lifestyle. Yeah,
I was just running my life at such a unconscious level and just doing what was supposed to be expected from me, which a lot of people do in their early 20s. And then I was like, okay, I'm done. I was like, I'm gonna go be happy finally. And I moved to LA, and LA really felt like home. Being queer and being Latina, I just felt like Uruguay is a small country. It's much better now, right? But it wasn't the open-mindedness back in the 90s, that it's now. And so I felt very out of place there, even though I love.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you might be the first Uruguayan I ever meet. I've gone to many Uruguayan restaurants and maybe the owners are Uruguayan, but actually where we're having the film festival in the middle of Coconut Grove, it's this kind of open air mall, super famous, called Coco Walk.
Yeah.
There's a place called Narbona, which is Uruguayan, that I go there like once a week. It's amazing.
I wish you could go, you guys. It sounds wonderful. Once I'm in Miami, I will definitely hit you up and we will have to get lunch or dinner or something.
No, definitely. And I'll be in LA early next year too. So but we're so excited to show your pilot.
Thank you.
Mal de Amores, pilot short film.
Yeah,
and
it's proof of concept for what I wanted to be a pilot, because it's gonna be long. I have the pilot, so.
But one of the things Javier Manrique and myself were wanting to do with this festival, I mean, first was that I moved back to Miami, and we wanted to have more of a community. So that's why we started this nonprofit, and this film festival is one of the first events for the nonprofit to, I miss talking to people about movies, and this is going to be a great event to get a lot of. It's not just Hispanic filmmakers, but let's say it's 80% Hispanic filmmakers. But one of the things we also wanted to do with the festival was tell different type of stories that are not the usual cliche Latin story. That if the characters are Latin,
I remember you and I
great. Yeah.
I remember you and I talking about this, and I was like, when you said that, I was like, oh, I felt like I could breathe, And I think those, typical Latinx stories are needed and are necessary, but when we get stuck there, it becomes a problem, and it's like, okay, we're more than that, so let's tell stories
Yeah,
about people who happen to be Latinos versus like the culture
exactly.
itself. So
And so the fact that your movie was a comedy, or your TV show, Proof of Concept is a comedy, it really, I love comedies, and I really connected to it.
thank you. That means a lot. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it was fun to watch. And I always
Oh,
tell that people, like, I
it
hope
was
you had
super fun to watch,
yeah.
and it keeps growing into that last sequence, which really, like, that cliffhanger works incredibly
Yeah,
well.
yeah, I'm so glad.
Um, so tell us a little bit about the development of this story, and how did you write it, or how did you get to this project?
Yeah, I co-wrote it. It's funny because I've gotten asked this before, and like originally I told my writing partner Kyle, I said I'm gonna write a love story. It's like I didn't know exactly what I was getting myself into, but I knew slowly it would like reveal itself to me. Which is how I like working. I don't like being like, this is the story that I'm going to tell. I mean, sometimes, but usually I don't even know the story that I'm going to tell. It's just kind of like it reveals itself to me. So, I thought it was going to be a love story, but it truly is a friendship story at the end of the day. It's about the people
Yeah.
that are there for us when we can't even be there for ourselves. And, our friends were there when we're really low. And I hope that's what my movie conveyed. It's about being stuck in the past. It's about, you know, um, comparison, how we in this modern world keep comparing ourselves to Instagram profile that looks so like shiny and beautiful. And we forget that that's just like a highlighted reel, and we all do that. I do that,
Mhm.
we all want to post that. But um, it's become such a prevalent thing that I was like, all right, let me touch on that as well, especially during like breakups and like, heartache and all of that. So yeah, I don't know. What did you take out
Yeah,
of it?
and well, I take this as like the ultimate compliment.
Okay.
Recently, I hadn't seen the show ever.
Okay.
People had told me about it, but I saw Dave recently, the whole thing, the
Oh,
Little Dicky show.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, so I saw the whole 3 seasons in 2 weeks. I
Wow.
fell in love with it. It's like a modern day kind of Curb, but in the music industry. And
Okay.
season two, he's like, he's dealing with his rise fame wise. He's dealing with his relationships, and he is such a terrible friend to
Uh,
his boys who are there with him all the time.
uh,
And it really reminded me of that season two of Dave, and like this being like a female version of that. And
okay.
so I connected with it incredibly. Like that's the type of stories that I
Yeah.
love to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes I don't think it's conscious that we're being bad friends. It's like we're so overwhelmed by our own life that we're just trying to stay afloat, and we can't see anyone else in that state. So it's not that we're bad people. We're just
Hmm.
still in survival and overwhelmed and trying to figure out who we
Yeah.
are. And so that comes
Yeah.
with a lot of neglect.
And I think that, I lived in LA for 15 years. I know how beautiful LA can be. And one of the things about LA is that, most people don't have like primos, primas, tios that live there. We all move there to start our own little thing. And these friendships are our family while we're there.
Absolutely.
So,
So glad you said that, because it is about chosen family, and I very much had to develop that because my family's in Uruguay. It's just, I don't have family here ever. It's been like friends that have become really close friends who are like my sisters, or brothers. And like for Christmas this year, we're doing a friends mass. Is that how you say it? Like, and we're all getting together doing White Elephant. There's like
yeah,
15 of us. So yeah, I agree. LA is that place that people go to kind of escape their families and, like pursue
yeah,
their dreams, and you find beautiful people that you connect with. So I'm glad that you got into that.
you do. And so yeah, like the moment when one of the characters says like, hey, like you weren't there when my parents came to visit, like I totally felt that.
I had a friend, actually, Juan. You know Juan the composer, Juan Carlos,
Yes.
which is wonderful, by the way. Uh, I remember he read the script and he was like, "Oh, that I related to that." He's like, "I couldn't see my
Yeah.
friend." I was like, "I love that you got hit by that," because we all like I
Yeah.
want people to feel like a mirror was put on them. So
Yeah. Another thing that I felt recently is, when you're in LA for so long, then maybe after, I was there from '05 to 2020, so 15
Crazy that
years.
we didn't cross paths. Like, I feel like I should
Well,
have.
I mainly was on the super west side. I lived in North Malibu, like
Like,
north of Point Doom. Like I wanted that nature weird life.
yeah, yeah,
And
love it.
but one of the things that happens in LA is like after a while, I think you start missing us, especially Hispanic people. Like, we have such all these extended families, and I felt like, oh my God, I missed out on my cousins, I missed out on my uncles, I missed out on all these years, because LA is also geographically so far from everything else. It's not, you
Yeah,
can take a 2-hour flight.
yeah,
So then I came back these last 3 years, but recently, every time I go back to LA, when I'm back with my cast of characters, friends who are a little different, here in Miami, all my friends already are like on child number 3,
yeah,
looking for their second home, and I'm like, I don't fit in anywhere here. I go
yeah,
back to LA and it feels like home again.
yeah. Yeah, no,
So I
totally.
think you captured LA.
I was actually just talking to my dad about that. So yeah, it's interesting. It's a different pace of life, and your career kind of consumes you in LA too. But I don't know. I love living here. I can't
Yeah,
complain.
it's wonderful.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Juan Carlos, because he's going to
Oh,
be here representing the film, and so I guess for the Q&A for the audience, he will
yeah.
talk about the music process. But just to link that conversation to Juan Carlos, how did you guys meet up? How did you guys start collaborating?
So a friend of mine, Selena Ringel. Do you know Selena? I don't know if you know Selena.
I know Selena. So
Okay.
because of Selena, I've met so many people from the AFI, my line producer on my short film, and then I start meeting. I don't actually, you know what? That's how I met Juan Carlos. I went to her premiere for not her new movie, but the one
So
before
I was
at
there.
Soho House.
No, the one for a single mother by choice.
No, previous movie. She's made so
Oh,
many now.
I didn't know Selena before that one.
Okay, so the previous
Yes.
movie, I remember went to Soho House, saw it, and I remember I'm like, I really love this music, and then I think I asked for the intro, and that's how I met Juan Carlos. Yeah,
So I met her. She had a premiere in somewhere in Studio City at a really cool place theater for Single Mother by Choice. And at the Q&A, Juan Carlos spoke, and I fell in love with his like the person that he is. Like, obviously I love the music, but I was like, this guy is so humble, he's so cute. Like, he's gonna kill me for saying this, but he's so endearing. He
he
really has a
is.
beautiful
Yeah,
vibe. He's so calm, and he just loves what he does. And I was like, I gotta meet this guy. So we ended up chatting quite a bit, and then a year later, when we shot, he was my composer, and it was a wonderful collaboration. I can't say enough good things about Juan. He's just such a positive, light-hearted. He takes feedback really well. He takes notes. He comes with ideas. He just always shows up with a good attitude, and I think that's a
100%.
lot for me, because filmmaking can get really hard, as you know. So there's going to be those moments that we're like, what are we going to do? And I think the best thing you can do is have a teammate who's like, I don't know, but we'll figure it out. Right. With a good,
Yeah,
not that they're doing you a favor, but they're like excited to be there with you in your film. And I think Juan has that quality. And I think that's why he's gone where he is, and he's going to go really far. I recommend him to everyone.
yeah,
I'm like,
same. Yeah, I
yeah.
couldn't have said it better. Like, it's
Yeah.
filmmaking is a hard process,
Yeah.
and you want to have people that you want to hang out. There's a lot of great creative people that maybe you don't want to hang out, and Juan Carlos is just such a peaceful presence, and but also super talented. There was one
Yeah.
commercial
No,
we
of
did where
course.
literally you can
Yeah.
ask him. He did
Yeah.
the first score, and I said no notes.
Yeah. No, I don't.
Yeah.
I think that I left that out. Of course, he's super
No, of
talented.
course, no,
That's it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But there's
That's
other
goes
talented.
without saying.
Yeah, there's a lot of talented people in the city, but I think what I always look beyond talent is that attitude of like just being positive, because it can get like really tedious, that process of like
Hmm.
post production, and it's like when you want to try to get it perfect, it can be a small note that it's like one more time, and some people give up, and I'm like, don't give up on me, and so he
Yeah.
he doesn't give up, and I love that.
Yeah, I have to say that um the music process is the most painful process for me as a director, because I love music so much,
Mm,
and sky's the limit. You start playing pieces of
yeah.
music that work, then two scenes don't work all of a sudden
Yeah.
with one piece of music. And it is, and talking about music. So tell me,
Yeah.
for Maldamores, did you start talking to Juan Carlos about the music before you shot it? Like, hey, this is the tone. These are some ideas I have.
Yeah, we had a playlist on Spotify, but it wasn't like I was taking it. I wasn't like listening to that, playlist every day. But I was just like, get my tone, get my like poppy and like lighthearted, and then like I just wanted him to get an idea of like the tone of what I was going for, so he could get. And I think it helped him. I mean, I hope it did. I think he said he
Mm-hmm.
did, but. And then we went, deeper into like what song for each scene and all that. And I gave a lot of notes. He was I always say this, he was very patient because, it was almost there, but wasn't there. And I think I'm really, really happy with what we had. I think the one scene that he worked the hardest on was the dodgeball scene because he created the whole thing. And
Mm-hmm.
poor Juan, I gave him a lot of notes, but he wasn't quite there until it was. And I was like, great. And he's like, oh, thank God, but I think we're all really happy with it now. And, it was a long post-production process. We had, a certain amount of time.
I'm glad you pointed out that scene. That way, when we do the Q&A, we can really focus in on the dodgeball scene.
Yeah, the dodgeball is a whole thing. And the beginning scene too, when Natalia's on the steps looking at Tara's Instagram, it was tricky too because I didn't want it to be depressive, but I didn't want it to be like super happy. So it was just like kind of like cool, slow. I'm really bad at describing music, so that's
it's really hard.
It's really hard. It's
Yeah.
really hard. He told me that's normal, so then I felt better about myself. So
I have this word that I always use that I'm like, changing gears. Okay, change gears here, change gears there. Probably every composer's like, dude, what the hell are you talking about?
yeah. At one point for the dodgeball scene, he will tell you this, but it was sounding too much like a calecita, in Spanish, calecita. And I was like, Juan, not so much calecita. And my writing partner goes, what the hell are you talking about? Because he doesn't speak Spanish. And I was like, don't worry about it. Juan's going to get it, And he's like, okay. But that's the only way I could describe it. I mean, my vocabulary was so limited. I was like, damn, I need some classes on music, So, but he got it. He understood what I was saying. So
that's awesome. So I know that, I don't want you to reveal too much since this is a project that you're actively developing, but what can you mention about that, or what other projects are you doing, or do you see yourself doing after this?
Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely have been working on the pilot. Like it's, my short is 15 minutes. So now we have like a real pilot that's like 30 pages that we've been working on it really hard. I don't know, we're in draft number 5, I think, or more, after many revisions. So I'm working to get that going. I applied to the Sundance Episodic Lab. We got to second rounds and then we didn't get in. Now we're going to apply to the Film Independent Episodic Lab. So hopefully that will be better. But yeah, I think just besides the labs, the idea is to have a ready pilot with a pitch deck together to just start pitching, Yeah, I mean, I think, looking for a showrunner would be ideal. I know that's very hard, but it's like, I think finding a showrunner that believes in your story and, and your why, I think that's very hard to find. But if you do, it's golden. And yeah, I think I want to start pitching like this coming year. So just really getting ready to have those two things, those materials really ready, so people understand our vision.
That's awesome that you have everything. It's not like you're showing up with just a little deck. You have a shot.
It's the whole thing, and we continue to change it and develop it, and so we're finding the right comps. Right, we've been looking at Fleabag and Insecure, Girls, Feel Good, I May Destroy You, just like female lead dealing with trauma and the 12 steps and friendship stories and all of that stuff. So it's been a process to find the right comps. And I mean, I think every time you try to make a TV show, it's going to be a process to try to figure out where the TV show exactly is going to land, so that people understand what you're going for.
Yeah. And then there's these shows that you watch and you're like, how did they even pitch? How did they show that this was the slice that they were going to end up with, because it's so original in the end?
Yeah. I hear a lot of shows, like I didn't know Severance. Have you heard of the show Severance?
Look, Ben Stiller, I think, is one of the best directors out there. Like what he did with Escape of Dannemora was unbelievable. but I saw the trailer, and it,
Yeah,
you know,
no,
we have these lists, so it never made it to the top of my list, but it's on my list.
I haven't seen the entire show. You know, the pilot is slow, you know, but I have so many friends that love it. But my point with saying this is that it was a short film. It was a short film that a proof of concept that became a show. And then, you know, Ben Stiller saw it. I don't know exactly, obviously, all the details of how,
Yeah.
but I guess what I'm saying, if proof of concepts can work at times, you know, if it's the right idea. So all you can do is
Super cool.
all you can do is do it and keep putting the work on,
Exactly.
see what happens, you know. So
Well, I
that's
think you have something super fresh, super cool. That's why we are opening our film festival with your movie. Like, I really
what?
want that to be, yes,
I didn't know that.
yes,
I'm so honored.
yeah, yeah. I just like the tone and the fun of it. It's
Yeah,
just, it's a great way to show the type of festival we
yeah.
want to be.
Wow.
And you know, I hope that, you know, Juan Carlos will represent your movie incredibly well, and I hope that, you know, that someone in the audience, or just through this exposure, like, you get to meet some other people,
Yeah,
and that your show gets as much exposure as possible.
I would love that. I'm so honored. I had no idea.
Yeah,
If anything, I will say the audience won't be bored. I always say that I'm like,
exactly.
I just, as long as you're not bored watching my film, because like I was, you know, when I was in post production, I got bored watching my own film. Amores was just 18 and a half minutes. And I was like, I'm getting bored watching that scene. If
Mhm.
I'm bored, you're bored. So I told him to
Mhm.
cut. We were not. I told him I had an editor who was a huge
Mhm.
mentor of mine who was like, yes, you're bored because it's not that fast. Like we gotta cut it faster. So she taught me a lot about pacing, and I started, you know, I just started kind of realizing. So we ended up cutting from 18 minutes to 15 minutes, and
Yeah,
those
I mean, in
minutes,
our first conversation, that's what we spoke about
yeah,
pacing.
yeah,
I have an
yeah,
ADD mind, and I can't take it. I
yeah,
can't take the
yeah.
slow burns.
So I hope your audience is at least enjoying, you know, won't
I
be
think
like,
they definitely will
oh,
be.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, Fiorella, thank you so much. It's so nice to finally meet you on video, and I really hope that that being part of our festival, even though you won't be here, is somewhat fruitful, and that you get to meet some people somehow.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited. You know, I want to text you or call you, see how it went, and thank you for having me. Thank you for, you know, believing in my art, putting the movie out there. I'm so happy that Juan connected
Thank you
us.
for believing in our small little Coconut Grove Film Festival.
Oh, you know, well, what's small becomes really big one day. You know,
Yeah.
everything starts really small. So I don't know. I don't really pay too much attention to that because you always see PAs becoming executives. You know, it's like you got to look at the planting of the seeds, right? So I'm excited for you guys' festival. I'm so happy that you guys, you know, are starting this, and yeah, watch this festival become a really big festival in, you know, 5 to 10 years. I do believe that
Let's
it's
hope
all
so.
about the passion and, you know, the dedication. So best
Let's
of luck,
hope so.
people.
Fiorella, thank you so much. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good day.